Now, earlier this week, the Mo Ibrahim Foundation celebrated 10 years of the Ibrahim Index of African Governance. And to mark the occasion, it released a special report that looked at a decade of African governance from 2006 to 2015. Let's find out more in this report.
Governance is improving across Africa, but not in its biggest countries. 10 years on from the first report, these are the latest findings of the Mo Ibrahim Index of African Governance. The report reveals overall governance in the continent has improved marginally in 37 out of the 54 countries, accounting for 70% of the continent's population. And it seems that the index itself has had a role to play in this.
Some of the improvements that we are seeing in the latest index are to some extent related to the existence of the index. Not directly, but indirectly, by drawing the attention of citizens and the leaders themselves to the fact that their performance is being monitored and compared with those of colleagues elsewhere. I don't think people don't like to be seen to be failures or irrelevant. So even if they pretend not to take notice, they notice.
The index measures overall governance trends in African countries based on 4 components: safety and rule of law, participation and human rights, sustainable economic opportunity, and human development. A comparison of data from the past decade placed Ivory Coast, Togo, and Zimbabwe on the top spots in terms of improvement, while Central African Republic, Eritrea, and Madagascar were, along with Libya, in the most deteriorated countries on the continent. 10 years ago, this information wouldn't have been available. So how did the index itself come about?
Driven by the belief that, stability, development, progress in our countries would not take place if you don't have a system of evaluating and monitoring what the state of governance is. Because that's what leads to stability, that's what leads to citizens being able to hold the feet of their government to fire and all those things. So I think that's what motivated him. We started, just said, on a reasonable basis, but still limited basis. Now it's expanded to every African country. And, the debate around it is catching fire. Everywhere we go, there's interest in it. People are Before it was a question of looking at where you are placed, in the league table. But now they go beyond that. They look at the data in depth. Academics are interested, civil society organizations and all. And we always have vibrant debates.
In its 10 years, the African Governance Index has shown itself to be a framework for citizens, governments, institutions, and the private sector to assess accurately the delivery of public goods and services and policy outcomes across the continent for each of the 54 countries. Looking to the future, the foundation is ambitious but also aware of the potential challenges.
One of the challenges would be how we have data on inequality. Inequality, which, if we don't address, it can be a source of destabilization in our continent. So there are issues like that, poverty, we will have to measure in a better way. So we'll continue improving the quality of the index. Because I think there are, a few areas we still have to cover, but, the quality of index. And we also hope that the data will be more and more Africa-based, that the countries themselves are able to capture their data, or institutions based in the countries are able to provide this relevant data, which will feed into the index. Because what they say, what you cannot measure, you cannot fix. And so we have to push data. Data is a challenge in Africa. Sometimes they question when you see reports like this, when you say, what is the data to back what you are saying is not there. So we hope that this will happen. So this will be the challenges as we move forward.
Africa has made considerable progress over the last decade, but the continent still faces a number of complex challenges in several areas. The Mo Ibrahim Foundation hopes to continue providing key data that will play a crucial role in tackling some of these issues.